Well, okay. Welcome, welcome. I know it's a lunch hour for most of us, and Bezrat Hashem, we are moving slowly, and Baruch Hashem, we are moving. We started our second chapter, and we'll continue it Bezrat Hashem today. Just wanted to focus more on a summary of the second paragraph of chapter 2. Okay, so we are talking about the first and lowest level of Hahispaalus, and that's called Shmiya Mirachok. It's as if somebody hears something from afar. What does this mean, hearing something from afar? This means that this level is a person intellectually, he recognizes and accepts the truth of Hashem. So he doesn't have to be convinced in that. Intellectually, he gets it. Okay, that Hashem is the root of all worlds and that everything before him is as nothing. You understand that he is the highest authority. Hashem is the highest authority. And this truth actually settles firmly in the mind, but it remains distant. That's why it's called Shmiya Mirachok. That this awareness, it's in his mind, it settles, but it's still distant. What does it mean it's still distant? The awareness does not become internalized, right? In a revealed way, either in intellect or emotion. Okay, instead, it exists only as acknowledgement, as avodah. Okay, so the person acknowledges in this mind an intellectual kind of concession to a higher truth rather than the lived closeness. So it's like we intellectually kind of persuade, yeah, it makes sense that there's a lot, that there's existence of Hashem, right? What this causes as a result, right? It causes, as a result, there's only a partial bittul in the heart, expressed practically rather than emotionally. What does this mean? A person is ready to do things. This produces a strong resolution, which is haskem, to turn away from evil and do good. He does sur miravasetov, but without love and fear, and without emotional excitement. So he doesn't have that. Okay, this level belongs to someone who possesses primarily the nefesh of Asiya, lacking the capacity for true experiential closeness to God, which belongs to the world of Bria. Now, nevertheless, the koachma within every Jewish soul shines even here, allowing the person to see the truth through, though it's only from afar. Okay, and it's in a way of makif. So because it's in such a way, therefore it's called Machshava Tovah. It's a cold thought, right? Because the person senses the loftiness of godliness and simultaneously his own distance. Okay, so that causes him to feel shame, smallness, and concern. Arises not as an emotional arisal, but as an existential awareness, right? This gap motivates partial commitment. Okay? Since closeness cannot be achieved internally, the person chooses to create a dwelling for him through action. Okay, so this is a very action-oriented, right? And then, so although like this level is not love or fear, but it is a genuine godly Hahispaalus. And therefore, the Torah mitzvahs performed on this level ascend to the Gan Eden Atachton corresponding to the world of Asiya. So that's, the capacity of it, right? Meaning the person says to himself, I don't have brain to understand and I don't have heart to feel, but at least I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm so committed to it on my maximum capacity, which is action at the moment. And that's where he's at. Okay. So if there are no questions pertaining to this level, we'll move to paragraph 3. Okay, v'amadrega habase, and the second level, lemala mizu, which is higher than the first one, who Hanikra Machshava Tovah hamitzarefes lemaaseh. This is called a good thought that joins with action. Okay, meaning, what does this mean? If you remember, the first one was a cold thought. This one is already not a cold thought. It's a good thought that is joined with an action. What does this mean? On this level, there is an arousal of love and fear already. That's a good thing. Right? But this love and fear are not revealed in the heart. Oh, one might say, like, oh, where else can love and fear be? Rak betvunes moichai, beta'alumais liboy, kamavor b'leketei amarik. Right? But they exist in the contemplative understanding of the intellect, right? Is in the tvuna. It's still in his brain. It didn't descend in his heart fully yet. Okay. And that in the hidden depth of his heart, as explained in Likutei Amarim. Okay. But what happens, they are actually come and are invested in the level of action, meaning there is a Hahispaalus felt, but it's a more Hahispaalus that comes from his understanding, but it didn't come to his heart yet. So it's like this in-between stage. Okay, Hagam shebe'arkam gavoa b'chinatam ha'maseh, right? Even though the intrinsic value is higher than of action itself, meaning it's not just an action, there is a good thought in it, in this action. Okay, what does this mean? This is unlike revealed love and fear, which are very close to action, right? Since the heart is physical and material and therefore close to the organs of action. Okay, and therefore it says, Machshava Tovah, Kadosh Baruch Hu mitzaref lemaaseh. A good thought, Hashem connected with an action, although it's not fully revealed in the heart to be a true aligned action, but Hashem still connected to an action. Okay, meaning because it's like semi-love, meaning it's a love that is born from contemplation, from his boinenus. It's definitely not a cold thought. A person is definitely much more involved emotionally, but these emotions are not really truly revealed in the heart. They are more intellectual, and Hashem pulls it to the Maaseh. Okay, interesting. Now, and it follows that this level of love and fear is called love and fear that pertains only to action. And they do not exist in the external heart. They don't. They're not being felt emotionally. Right? But rather in a concealed depth of his heart, as explained. Okay, so the second level is this very interesting level. It's on one hand, a person is experiencing love and fear, and it is conscious, but it's not felt. You see, that's different. It's conscious, but it's not felt in the heart, meaning a person is not burning with love. It's not burning with heart, but he's conscious of it. And therefore, this thought is not, it's called Machshava Tovah, it's a good thought, and it's not called a cold thought, like in a previous level. Since there's some desire and emotional arousal within it. Okay? So a person is definitely much warmer. Okay? Now, V'yuvan al derech dugma. Okay, midas elye. Midas elam, right? And we will now find throw an analogy from the worldly matter. Okay? Ka'asher choyshev be'inyan toiv hanogia la'atzmai. Okay, when one thinks about something good that pertains to himself. If you remember, Machshava Kara was about something good that somebody else possesses. Okay, I mean, it's great. I mean, I feel very good for you, but it's not mine. It's nothing to do with me. Remember, even at that level, a person would say, like, oh, what this has to do with me, right? On this level, we don't have that problem. On this level, the person knows that it's his. Okay, so he treats Yiddishkeit, he treats Hashem as something of his. It's not something distant. It's much closer. Okay. Como harevach, okay, b'ma'aser matan toiv, kavod ugdula, kivahasagas hoin yokar shemesig la'atzma. For example, profiting from a successful business deal, or attaining honor, greatness, or valuable wealth, okay, for oneself. So all these things, it's not that somebody else is possessing them, but it's me possessing it, okay, and therefore this becomes personalized. So that's the difference between Machshava Kara and Machshava Tovah, right? It's not a wealth of somebody else. That's a cold thought, but this is for me. It's a warmer, obviously much more exciting when we have the goods that we desire for ourselves. Okay, so now Hamachshava Zois ba elav b'bchinas Hahispaalus, right? Such a thought comes with emotional arousal, right? V'hamshachis hanefesh k'tzas, and drawing of the soul slightly, okay? Shenikra hazazu b'mikoymai, right? Which is called a slight movement from its place, meaning its person is not affixed in his own understanding, in his own whatever perceptions are, but actually moved. Okay, so there's a movement there, which is a great thing. Okay, so that's a definitely much more exciting level to be in. Okay, right? As can be clearly observed, kasher yaval adam eze busura mi'esek tov, right? When a person receives the news of a very favorable matter, b'nagia loy, okay, pertaining to him personally, okay, very favorable matter that concerns him personally, what happens? When a person all of a sudden receives the good news about himself, okay, your child had a baby. It's not somebody else's child had a baby. Okay, your daughter became a kala. Okay, so that's what are you going to feel about it? You obviously moved more than when it's somebody else. Okay, right? All the powers of his thought become occupied and cling strongly to this thought with emotional arousal. Okay, obviously, when something good happens to us personally, we react to it very differently. Right, and this process of us getting that all our thoughts become occupied with that thing. For example, I'll tell you, you know what? I've been giving you $1 million, and I don't know, and 10 tickets to Israel to tour for 6 months. Okay, let's imagine you get a package like this. What's going to happen? You're going to be thinking about it. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You're going to be excited. You're going to be constantly thinking about what an amazing thing happened to you. Okay, you're going to tell your friends. You're going to call your mother. You're going to call your father. You're going to call this. You're going to call your uncle. Anybody who you see, so you know what happened. I got $1 million and I don't know, 10 tickets to Israel with 6 months, blah, 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 and all that, right? You're going to be constantly speaking about it. So what does this mean? It means you're going to be in the state of dvekus of the machshava. Okay, meaning your thought is going to be dovok, it's going to be attached to that thing that you are contemplating about and you're excited about. Okay, and it refers to as hearing within the thought, right? And it's also called shmi'a b'machshava, right? You're much more you're much more excited, and it's much closer to you. It's more personal. Okay, and he says in Yiddish, he hears it well in his thoughts. Okay, but similar zehu hatrada v'hazaza mimakoyim k'tzat, right? And the sign for this ina It's agitation and a slight movement from one's place. Now, it doesn't have to be a bad agitation, right? A person actually starts moving. Okay, it's not just, oh, I'm committed to it and I'm still feeling horrible. No, I'm actually excited about it and I'm moving. There's a movement in my energy. Okay? And so too with godly contemplation. B'machshava kazos, right? Of this kind. Whenever the person reaches this level, what actually happens, right? That this kind of contemplation, okay, clings to the thought strongly, okay, as to something that pertains to oneself. Okay, what does this mean? You see, there are two people. One person studies, okay, they study Chassidus, a beautiful concept, and they move on their life. Nobody sits as like, is it really nogea to me? Is it really not nogea to me? How am I bringing this into life? How am I not bringing this into my life? And, all that. Not everybody does it, So that's what we're talking about. Those who do it, those who keep that thought in their mind playing, that means they were moved by whatever was discussed, by whatever was learned, to a point that the thoughts become occupied by these ideas. Okay. And there are times where we listen and it just came out from one ear, came out from another ear, and we move on. Okay, it doesn't move us. So when it doesn't move us, that's the level of Machshava Kara we're talking about. Okay, and there are some things that enter our heart, and we become preoccupied on the thought level. So that's Machshava Tovah. That's a good thought that we're talking about. It's not a cold thought. A cold thought is like, oh, I'm thinking, I understand it's very, very important, but I'm stepping out without being emotionally invested in it because I don't have a capacity to be emotionally invested. Okay, but there are certain things that enter us, enter our heart so deeply to the extent that we become occupied in our thoughts about that matter. Okay, whatever else we're studying. And this is what is called a good thought that joins with action. Okay, obviously action is going to be slightly different. Okay, Hainu. That is histafut tolda shanolad mimena hu ava v'yira negelamas. Right, and the result, offshoot of this type of Hahispaalus is born from it love and fear that at least affect action. Right, and this hearing within thought comes from the fact that godly matter is closer to him. And therefore, when he hears, he feels a certain degree of emotional arousal. However, this arousal remains only in the brain, in the understanding. Okay, right? In the understanding of his intellect, bilvat, only. Okay, and it lacks the power to be revealed in the heart. Okay, that's what ends up happening. Okay, so meaning I'm getting excited, but it's more intellectual excitement, rather something that is felt in the heart. Okay, but I'm getting excited. That's definitely a better place to be than to be the previous level that we discussed last week. Okay, where it's a cold thought, where I don't have capacity to feel, I don't have capacity to understand. I said, okay, at least I'm going to do. Okay, that's that level. This one is different. This one is definitely much warmer. Hamalchus mekabel b'chinas paras partzuf hachitzayin dazo. Shu partzuf the ibur b'hu b'chinas nehi b'chlal. Right, and again, we're going to go a little bit more into the Kabbalistic terms. And this level corresponds to when Malchut received from the external configurations of Zer Anpid, which is the configuration of Ibur associated with the general level of Netzach Hod Yisod. Okay. Now, what does this mean? This means that even within, those who did second chapter in Shariachot, we learned this. Okay, this is when my actions, okay, when I'm going to move in with a project, but I'm only focusing on the mindset part. Okay, that I'm not focusing on my feeling part. I don't have a capacity for that yet. Okay, I want to do it. I'm excited to do it. See the difference? I might not necessarily feel the excitement. To be honest, after learning this chapter, I was a little bit more conscious about what I feel and what I don't feel. And, after this chapter, it was very, very clear to me that how much of our interaction is really involving only this level. And I was kind of, questioning our capacity to really feel things on a full scale emotions, because it seems that, the range of emotions that we experience are quite shallow. And again, this is an amazing illustration that a person feels the excitement, but that excitement is more intellectual, comes from his understanding, rather than the heart becomes the receptacle for a truly an emotional feeling. Okay, anyway, these are just my thoughts. That's like, wow. Okay, v'az nikra achoisi. Okay, and this level is called the level of achoisi, my sister. Okay. So now we have two levels. The first level, on the level of mindset, that's nothing. We have to be thankful that it's Bechlal being considered as a level of Hahispaalus, because there's no Hahispaalus, right? It's just a commitment. However, on the level of Yitzira, we actually do see a movement. We do see Hahispaalus, right? And that's the level of my sister. The love that we have towards our sisters, towards our siblings. Okay. We cannot say that these are total strangers, right? Because we do have feelings, but at the same time, these are not same feelings as we would have for our spouse. Okay, so therefore, there are four levels, right? Achoisi, Rayasi, Yanasi, and Tamasi, right? These are the four levels. And one person might ask, like, hey, aren't we discussing 5 levels of the soul? So why we have only this 4 levels of excitement? The way it's being described, Achoisi is my sister, Rayasi is my beloved one. That's more for a spouse. Okay, Yonasi, okay, is my dove, and Tamasi is my twin. Okay, so this is the level of connections that we have. Okay, the person might think like, oh, is a twin considered to be a sibling? From a technical perspective, yes, but from emotional perspective, no. It's more than just a sibling. Okay, so we're going to go Bezrat Hashem on all these levels and try to, as much as possible, to understand each one of them. But anyway, we are on the level number 2, and this is my sister, as it will be explained. Okay, V'hina al ze amar Shema Yisrael b'bchinas Shmi Amuka, right? And in this regarding, this is what it says: Hear Israel. This is the sense of deep hearing, right? Again, this is a very good level to be in. Definitely much better and much more exciting level than the last level that we learned. Okay, and through this level, okay, that's where the ahavta comes in. Through this powerful shema, okay, that we are having, through this love and yearning are produced. Okay, rak she'eina b'hizgalos b'leiv. However, the Shema part, it's not yet revealed in the heart. Rak b'moach havanase, but only in understanding of the intellect. Okay, v'nimshech hamisham, and from there it extends, u'mitlabesh b'bchinat hamase, and becomes invested in the level of action. And this level exists in one who possesses the level of ruach of Yetzirah. Okay, so I guess each one of us could actually see and, recognize themselves if they ever, came across this type of Hahispaalus. And through this, his Torah and mitzvah is elevated to the Gan Eden of Yetzirah. And due to the joining where Hashem, blessed be He, joins the thought to action, okay, they ascend to the upper Gan Eden, okay, to the world of Bria. Okay, so then that's where Hashem gives that extra push. Hashem says, okay, you moved. Okay, you moved from your cold place. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to extend a little bit. You moved from your place, okay, I'm going to push you a little bit more. You see why the reciprocity we see from God, from divinity, okay, from godliness here. It's like you made your effort, you moved from your place. You see, the first level of persons are moving. He's still in his coldness, okay, in his limited perception. Here, the person in a second level already making a movement. He's moving. Okay? He's not where he's like stuck. He's not stuck. He moved from being stuck. Okay, Hashem says, okay, amazing. I see movement. I'm going to push you. So not only that I'm going to bring you to the level of Yetzirah, I'm going to push you, okay, that it's going to, your actions are going to go even to the higher Gan Eden, which is the Gan Eden of Bria. Amazing. Okay, that's the reward. Okay, but now, and this is enough for understanding. Okay, whew, that was it. This is our second level. It's definitely much more exciting level. So let's go over to where that actually fits in, right? That fits into the second level, to the level of Yetzirah. Okay, that's already a personalization is there. Like, oh, Hashem is not just like, a nice guy, who can do everything, whatever you want. Hashem is my God. Okay, so there's a personalization, meaning this otzar, this amazing thing that by first level was possessed by somebody else. Now I am the one who is possessing it, right? So that's the level of personalization, right? That's not just, I don't know, somebody, it's actually my sibling. Okay, it's my blood. So I'm relating to it with a personal intention, and that causes us to actually move things. Okay, like you see it with kids. Okay, can you please give this cup to your sister? Okay, when they need a cup, they'll just get up and take it. What happened? Because that's just reality. When it's about us, when we are the benefactors of whatever that is, that's a human nature. We move it, and that just, what happens. The same thing is here. Because again, let's not forget, we are talking about the 5 levels of Nefesh HaBahamis, right? So obviously she's going to get much more excited when it's about her versus about somebody else. We don't see that with Nefesh Elokis. With Nefesh Elokis, her, somebody else has equal. Okay, with Nefesh HaBahamis, it's not like that. So that's why we see there's more excitement whenever this is about them versus about somebody else. Okay, and definitely the Machshava is much, much warmer. Okay, any questions so far? No? No, everybody's so quiet.
Mostly I'm just processing like what you just said now that like like the movement is like the movement with the body happens because the body is going to benefit like that version of me or whatever it was. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly the words, but the idea that almost like a carrot is how I got it. Like there's a desire and then there's a carrot, so you get up and go for it, like because you want something. Versus like when there's not that agitation or like that sort of like firing up. Um, but then you just hinted that there's like a point where on on the one hand like it's a oneness, so it's beyond the body, it's like spiritual because it's like connecting with others beyond my body. You're you in your body and I'm me in my body, but like you're saying there's a version of me that's connecting with the you that's beyond the body. But so there's still that physical movement on this level, so I'm sort of trying to process it because I feel like there's I'm not sure I fully grasp the whole idea. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. I hear you, but I don't think the text was suggesting that this level is beyond the body. On the contrary, this level is, we are talking about everything in the body. This level specifically, it's all within the body. It's interesting because because what do you mean it's within the body? We're talking about animal soul. These levels are happening in animal soul. We're not talking about five level. We're not there yet. Later on, we're going to be talking about animal soul. I'm sorry, it's godly soul. But this level, we're talking about a level of an animal soul. This is the excitement of the animal soul. You see, the first one is very interesting. One might think like, why in the world the animal soul would want to be in a, I mean, it's a lofty level. Can you imagine an animal soul has been thinking about Hashem and made a commitment to Hashem? That's a lofty level. Okay, so that's great.
Well, I mean, our animal soul, the free, like I remember learning, it understands that Hashem is the source of life. So even for like self-preservation, why would I cut myself off from like my source of self? But you were
Exactly, but
talking
not
about,
necessarily, not necessarily. Animal soul is a feels itself as yesh, right? Because it's a creation, and also given a task to take care of the body. Okay, so it's even more yesh, and her main agenda is a pleasure-seeking thing, right? That's what she wants to do. She wants to sleep. It's like an animal. She wants to sleep. She wants to eat. She wants to enjoy life in a very plain sense of it. Okay. Like you have a chicken, like you have a goat, just running around. That's it. Now, because Hashem gave to Nefesh HaBahamis seichel, brain, right? That's called our intellectual soul. So she has a capacity to think about things that are beyond the realm of an animal. Okay. Okay. We get it. So now she could contemplate on things. She could think about how to build a bridge, or she might think about different philosophies, or she might think about the meaning of life. Okay. Now, animals don't think about this. Okay. Animals do not have um, a capacity to think about something other than what's happening right here, right now. Okay. So, like something remote, something abstract. They don't have that capacity. They have memory, they have whatever else they need to remember. There are also different types of animals, and the sophistication of thought is very different, like than chicken versus monkeys, you know. and the ability to solve the problems is very different. But at the same time, they have a certain limit. Now, human brain is very different. It also has the animal aspect, the animal component to it, but also has a sophistication that regular animals don't have. So with that premise, imagine this seichel, okay, starting to think, contemplating about Hashem. For whatever reason, they study Torah, they learn, right? And then that seichel, that person who operates right now on a nefesh habahamis level, okay, and that's very interesting. He actually separates that. So on the nefesh habahamis level, we see different stages of development of the human being. Okay, level number 1 we discussed last time. It's called Machshava Tovah. When a person, through his contemplation, realizes that there's Hashem in the world and I need to serve Hashem, I don't have a capacity to understand much. I don't have a capacity to feel much, but at least I'm making a commitment, a avodah, acknowledgement about Hashem existence, and I'm making a commitment, haskem chazak, a very strong commitment to act the way Hashem wants me to act. To be a mensch.
By the way, that sounds like a Jew because you said Haidah, like or what's for acknowledgement? Hodah or something? Yeah, like
Yeah.
so Yehudi, like when you just said that now, I thought that's what it is. Like we learned to be a Jew is to observe Hashem. Like
exactly.
That's what Moshe with the bush, right? Like so maybe you could now, like the Brit. I know that you're on this what you're sharing is like from a line, but I'm still missing a piece that how could that version of us that is in a body that doesn't understand oneness and that is driven to that carrot all the time, how could that one connect with another? And like how would I find myself in you from the animal? How, like, I know animals have friends and like cows, they cry when they lose a friend, and like you touched on that, there's different levels of sophistication, but I guess how could that, like, let's say you said the kid getting a cup for the other kid, like how could the how could the nefesh habahamis relate that I'm thirsty, you must be thirsty, if it can't relate to outside of its own? Or are you saying that maybe it only could relate from a body perspective, like only if I could feel what you're feeling, maybe then would I?
No, let's not get within the realm of animal kingdom. There are different sophistication in the intellect. Some of them don't relate. Some of them do relate. Some of them help each other, right? Like there are different species, there are different level of intellect they have. For example, it says Hasida, right? She actually gives food for her friends. Obviously, she understands that they're hungry. I mean, they have a communication. Okay. So, but it's all within self. It's a preoccupation within self. Okay. So what the phenomenal part about the first level, that all of a sudden this animal soul recognizes something beyond self. She's like, oh, I thought I was the center of the world.
I got you now. I got you. I understand.
Now there's Hashem. So for her, that realization is a huge step. Okay. That's why it's recognized as a level of Hahispaalus, although there's no Hahispaalus. There's no Hahispaalus. But that recognition that there's a Hashem in the world, and Hashem is beyond me, my own understanding of what the world is or isn't. That recognition needs credit. Because it's outside of the realm of a behemoth, basically. And therefore, if you notice in the text, they don't use the word nefesh habahamis. They use nefesh hativis. Why? Because nefesh habahamis is only the emotional. Nefesh hasichlis is only intellectual. Nefesh hativis is both, but in general terms. Okay. So when we use the expression natural soul, we mean both midas and seichel together. Okay, as one unit, not just when we want to separate them. But when I want to describe my animal soul only from the animal perspective, I'm going to use the word midas, right? Or I'm going to use the word nefesh habahamis. If I want to just discuss about the intellectual capacities of my animal soul, I'm going to use the word nefesh sichlis, okay? But if I want to just generalize whatever that is, seichel and midas, general, I will just use the term nefesh ativis, my natural soul. Okay, so I'm referring to these two aspects together. So the fun part is that the second level, that's where things become more exciting. Because on the first level, okay, I realize that there's a Hashem in the world, but I may not really understand that this Hashem belongs to me. It's my Hashem. It's not personal yet. Okay. So therefore, the Hahispaalus is only reveals itself in a commitment. I will do. Okay, where the second level, there is already an excitement, and I am ready to move myself. There's a movement in me from where I was, from my perceptions. And what's the movement is about? Oh, I just didn't realize this Hashem is mine. It's my treasure. It's not a treasure by somebody else. It's my treasure. Yeah? You see that it's definitely, for Nefesh Bahamas, it makes more sense. The first level is a very painful level, okay? One, I'm not the center of the world. Two, the center of the world of Hashem. Three, I don't have a capacity to understand Hashem, and I don't have a capacity to feel him in my heart. And that's why it brings the shame, right? There's a sense of busha. Now, because I'm focusing on the distance. The second level is much more exciting for Nefesh Bahamas. Why? Because, oh, it's mine. Because now you see, Nefesh Bahamas is very self-centered. Okay? So now that treasure is my treasure. Oh, that's exciting. Why didn't you tell it to me in the first place? Okay, so it's personalized. Moreover, because it's personalized, it adds flavor to my actions. My actions are not just cold because I have to. I'm doing because I want to. You see the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear a whole new dimension of like control, like, or power, like maybe the first level is like that, maybe from the animal soul. It's hard to talk about, but maybe like the animal soul feels like it's in charge, and then recognizes maybe on the first level that it's not in charge, and then the second level it like develops a relationship with the one who's in charge, but like in a personal way, kind of.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. That's why she feels more excited, because now her powers are more engaged. And later on, we will see that these powers that Nefesh Bahamas has are actually much more powerful than the powers of Nefesh Elokis. Okay.
Wow, thank you so much.
They are much, much more intense. And therefore, there's a union between Nefesh Bahamas and Nefesh Elokis that each one complements each other. You understand? Mm-hmm. One brings out the spirituality, the other one brings out the passion and the intensity. And there is this, this balance created. And it's all by design. Hashem. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And B'ezrat Hashem is going to get even more exciting when we're going to learn the third level, B'ezrat Hashem, next week, and then the fourth level and the fifth level also. These are very, very special. And again, this is the level, the second level is the level of my sister, Achaisi. You know, it comes from the pasuk, Kol doidi doidi doifek, right? You know, it's a nigun also. Doidi doifek pischili, open for me, right? Pischili, Achasi, Rayasi, Yanasi, Tamasi. So these are the four levels. Now, why the fifth level is left alone? Well, because it's really not Hahispaalus. It's nothing. What it means nothing. It's something very substantial. It's this beginning, but it's dry and cold. So some people feel comfortable with that. That's fine. You know, but some people don't. So that means if a person is in a search for more, then that's an indicator that it's not the level of the neshama. The level of the neshama is more than that. That's one of the indicators. There are some people who are very comfortable with that level, with the first level. And they don't want to go into philosophy. They don't want to go too much into feelings, irrigation. They just want to say this is a certain level of simplicity that level provides. It's like a safe simplicity.
Wait, I just want to ask a clarifying question. You said the first level that we covered last week or the week before, that was not yet on the level of my sister. The first one that we touched from them, which is my sister, is only starting at this level.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Achaisi is the second level.
Mm-hmm. But it's the first of those four terms, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Why the fifth one, meaning the last one, is not included in these four? Because there are 5 levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the last one is not Hahispaalus. So that's why there's no, like, what is it? We don't know. It's not Hahispaalus. It's an acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
It's still about God because it's an acknowledgement that has to do with God, but it's not an acknowledgement the way we understand acknowledgement. It's not Hahispaalus. There's no excitement there.
And there's no
On the
mind.
second level, we see Hahispaalus. On the second level, we see excitement, but it's intellectual excitement. Okay, it's not yet right to enter the heart, but at least it's an excitement. Understand?
Yeah, and it's also the first one with my sister.
Exactly. It's personal. Exactly. Achoisi is my sister. Exactly. That's a nice observation. Yes, Achoisi, it's me. It's not just Achos, somebody else's sister. It's my sister. Okay, it's from that level and on. Nefesh Bahamas is convinced Hashem is her Hashem. So there's Hashem in the world that I don't have any relationship to. He's just my master that I need to obey. This is already like, oh, he's like, we're building a relationship. We're becoming of one blood. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like it's a warmth already there. From the second level, we feel a family. You know. Yeah, we feel family. It's not the stranger anymore. We're not the stranger. Okay, any more questions? Otherwise, we'll just move on with the rest of our day.
Well, I want to wish you Chodesh Tov till next week to everyone.
Yes, Chodesh Tov, that's beautiful. Yud Shvat, that's an excellent thing, is to prepare ourselves to really understand how are we relating to our Rebbe. Where is the Rebbe stands on the level of Hahispaalus in us.
Thanks, Mila, so much.
Sure. Much atzlacham. Thank you for joining me, Shosh, Shayna, and our BH.
BH.
Beautiful, yeah.
Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you very much. Sure. Good Shabbos. Have the rest of your week. Bless.
Yeah, I'm just going to text you a question.
Sure, sure.
Bye.
All the best. Bye bye.